Live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to A Pair of Normal Mediums. And I'm Theon and my beautiful co-host, Julie. And we have today our guest, Nick, and Julie's going to tell you a little bit about Nick.
Okay. Hello, everybody. We're very happy to have our friend Nick here, who is a paranormal investigator. Nick is a born New Yorker with an ambitious drive for personal growth. At 18, he answered his nation's call to serve in the United States Navy. And by the way, Nick, thank you for your service. With an eye towards further development, Nick jump-started his career as a professional pilot and an electrical engineer. But it was his deep spiritual connection and special gifts of the spirit that empowered him to help others to find healing by pursuing spiritual development specializations, such as instrumental transcommunication, which is digital mediumship. Now, this is going to be very interesting to hear about this, as well as energy healing and spirit rescue. Today, Nick is joyfully part of Evolve Me, which is a platform dedicated to spiritual learning and metaphysical enlightenment practices. And he can apply his years of valuable experience to help those seeking guidance and healing. And we are all part of Evolve Me's platform, and we hope that you will all check us out there.
Definitely. Well, welcome, Nick, and thank you so much, Julie. That was a wonderful welcome. And Nick, we have been working with Nick ever since way back when, but we're very excited to bring him on right now because definitely stuff that Julie and I are very into, Nick is also into. So, and using all different forms. And I will tell you, Nick, the SLS camera, amazing. I'm obsessed with. So I definitely want to show some clips about that. But tell us a little bit about how you got started.
Well, I think you know the background. A lot of us came from the same training.
Yeah.
For that, the mediumship, basic psychic mediumship course, the remote viewing for that. And that was about, I don't know, I almost lost track of the time frame. It's been what, 4 or 5 years, I think, or 3 years. I know
two for me. It's been over 2 years for me.
Yeah, 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually met. I think we met you on what? Well, it's funny is because we continuously like to take classes there, so it's hard to remember. But I remember you were in one of our classes. I think it was the mediumship for maybe the 3rd time around. Who knows?
Well, and let me say where, because we'll put in a plug for Deborah Lynn Katz, who is the author of You Are Psychic and Extraordinary Psychic. And she has her own school, the International School of Clairvoyance. And this is how we all know each other.
Yes. And that was our first amazing community, and still community that we're very much part of. So yeah, definitely. If you are really wanting to learn all the ins and outs of, clairvoyance, as well as remote viewing or even mediumship, then definitely check out ISC, or International School for Clairvoyance. So many abbreviations.
And I'm glad you guys broke that down, because I was going to refer to the ISC with the acronym and stuff like that, but so I mean, I was actually, before we even started this, I was chatting with Julie, and it's been an incredible wild ride from ISC, our training and like that, because I sort of branched off by default just because of my experiences as I left that training, and then went on to work with clients and just improve my skill set and just get more comfortable in my own skills and stuff like that. But I could do the short version. I'll try to condense it as much, but I guess this was pivotal parts. Was once coming out of ISC, I was on holiday vacation in Honolulu. I wound up actually, and not knowing, I knew of it from the ISC training, but I actually wound up picking up an attachment, a spirit attachment. for that. I was like, okay, I had no idea what this was. I wasn't really fearful, but it was definitely alarming. So I actually,
can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Can I ask you a question for people who may be wondering, how did you know that you had a spirit attachment?
I guess from the training, I knew basics, bits and pieces, and I might have dug around because I was sort of getting pulled in that direction before, but I was sort of fearful, so I had to face that fear.
Okay.
So I guess spirit just threw me in.
Okay,
And
so you were experiencing fear, and this is how the clue that you had an attachment. Was it affecting your behavior in any way?
well, what it was is when I was in Honolulu and I felt it, it was almost as if literally I say a monkey on my back, something jumped on me.
You could
And
feel
right
it.
prior to that, I was actually getting visions, sort of clairvoyant visions.
Okay.
And it was visions of actually from, I had some tribal visions of local ceremony in the Honolulu area, which was definitely unique. And then all of a sudden, I got visions of Pearl Harbor, and that's when I felt an attachment. And immediately, I felt, and this is what I call my internal sort of spirit alarm, good, bad, or indifferent. There's different sensations I have inside my chakras, my sacral, my solar plexus, heart chakra, and sacral chakra. Almost feels like a burning, and the heavier the spirit is, the more possibly trickster it is. I'll get a real tightness in my chest and a really burning, almost as if my chest is on fire. If it's just a spirit that's looking for help or something like that, it'll just be a very benign pressure.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's fascinating.
So that's what happened right after IC, and I believe that it's opening ourselves in this field of psychic mediumship, intuitive mediumship, energy healing. It's like almost a beacon to the spirit world. They see that, and they either want to be curious, want to have other, I guess trickster options, or they need some help. I
Yeah.
believe this individual or this spirit needed help, but I didn't have the skill set. So I actually had in our practice groups at ISC an individual that had the skill set that actually helped me remove this attachment. But that led me down the road of seeking training in spirit rescue. Because I wanted to help. I felt bad after the fact that I could have potentially recognized what this was and possibly help him or her, whatever it was. And it led me down to rescue mediumship, which then led to, and in parallel to this, I bumped into, because we had taken some more training in instrumental transcommunication with Josh and Hope Paranormal.
Yeah.
For that. So that was incredible. And that really jump started. I mean, I was curious before then, but that jump started my sort of knee-deep passion, or even deeper, into the instrumental transcommunication, which I affectionately call, it's really, for me, digital mediumship.
I love that title.
Me too. I like that.
Yes. And and I'll put in a little plug for Josh.
I know, we just saw him this weekend.
Yeah, we just saw him. Hope Paranormal.
I saw that. I saw the pictures. I was so jealous of you guys sitting there with Josh. I'm like, oh man.
It was great. So for people who want to, try this with a spirit box, you can download Josh's app called the Hope Spirit Box on your phone, and then be sure to watch the videos on how to use it. But yeah, anybody, you don't have to have a lot of money. You can just download the app and practice it.
Yeah.
Okay. And Nick, would you tell people, some people may not know what spirit rescue means. Could you explain what spirit rescue is?
I'm going to try and put it in layman, because it was a 6-month class program for me. It was, weekly. It was intense. And actually prior to that, I did a rescue mediumship. And then I went into further broadened specialization, 6-month intense program with Amy Major. She's incredible. I read her book. She now has 3 books, but I went through her program with Spirit Rescue. Essentially, it's working with spirits and in that field. I'm trying to lead into, I guess, this whole paranormal, because that's what the Spirit Rescue led into, the paranormal and on-site investigations, and me specializing in ITC and using that platform to help spirits or to figure out what's going on as a tool. But Spirit Rescue essentially gave me the skill set to determine, for example, when I had that attachment in Honolulu, with the skill set I learned as a Spirit Rescue, I could have determined, was it and what is classified in the program, what I was trained as a category 1, category 2, category 3, and category 4. Category 1 is typically your spirit that passes suddenly, they're a little bit confused, they don't have really malevolent intentions, they just need some help, some sort of spirits that are stuck in between transition. 2 are the ones, so Spirit Rescue, I help spirits if they choose to. Like I said, I'm not there to force spirits, but for example, if I would have known or had the skill set, I would have known possibly, and I felt as if it was a level 1, actually a level 2, because they died probably suddenly under extreme circumstances within the Battle of Pearl Harbor. So that would be a category 2, level 2, possibly 1 or 2. I'm guessing probably 2 that would need transition, because they're probably replaying. And what it is that it was communicating. I knew it was intelligent. It wasn't residual that I bumped into or anything like that. It actually jumped on me and knew what was going on, and I was interacting, or at least it was interacting with my energy. So it was a level 2 with some intelligence for that. So Spirit Rescue is essentially just trying to help in whatever way possible a spirit. There are the Jeffrey Dahmers, there's the Hitlers that are level 4. Well, level 3 is, level 4 is a demonic and above for that. So, I mean, it's getting deep into it, but that's essentially what I'm doing now. Is that, and how it has this related, is that even with going to these sites, these investigations that I'm doing, I can even know, and actually I stand outside of the house to get a feel for, and try to remotely go into energy wise to figure out, okay, is there something malevolent? Is there something about this? Is there something historic that's going to have a factor into the spirit? And every spirit does not want to be rescued. I ran into a couple that, like this one lady, just wanted to. It was a home. They made it into multi-sectional apartments, and whatever dimension she was in, it was her home, and she was hanging around the kitchen area or by the fireplace, and she was not going to leave. So I'm not going to, quote unquote, rescue her or try to transition. She wants to be there.
Right.
And that's just my opinion. I'm not, like I said, an expert.
Well, it's interesting. So, Julie and I also do our own, rescue and things like that. And do you feel that being a medium actually enhances your ability to do these, rescues, as well as like any of your ITC work? Do you feel?
I would say it's almost a prerequisite to do this work, because psychic, like they say, what's the difference between a psychic and medium? Well, psychic is, so at least what I've learned is or if I'm understanding it correctly, is being able to read someone's energy around them, within them. A mediumship is actually crossing over into another dimension, or being able to go into another dimension and actually talking to the deceased, possibly even ETs, elementals, being able to actually communicate with them. Because if usually you're a medium and you're able to do that skill level, then you can read the psychic, but a psychic cannot. I haven't seen a psychic being able to relay that right into mediumship, being able to talk to deceased, elementals, all the above, reptilians.
Yeah. Well, psychics, you're right. It is very much like that. What do they say? You can have a medium could be a psychic, but a psychic can't be a medium. And they can read consciousness. Psychics can read consciousness, but you're right. Mediums connect and actually can sort of read between dimensions, or feel between dimensions. But yeah, it's funny because we talk a lot about seeing some of these ghost hunting shows, and they're not necessarily mediums. They're I call them provokers, because they're just there to provoke and get entertainment value. And and I believe that is why it is so widely thought that ghosts are all malevolent. Because you're seeing these shows and it gives a really bad impression, but these are trapped, some of them are trapped souls, and they need help. And and that's what I love about talking to mediums that also do paranormal research, because you could see the heart in it, because you feel it, because you're a medium, because you can connect with the other side. You feel their energy, and that is so funny. I just saw a whole energy just go like that.
Cool.
You're welcome, guys. But yeah, and it's so funny. This is why Julie and I want to do this show, because it is so important for people to understand the realities of this. It's not this is not a dog and pony show. It's real souls that need help, and giving people closure. That's another part of being a medium. You're doing that in your work every day. You're giving people closure, not just the spirits, but also the people that want to connect with them. Right. Or let's say, do you ever have an experience where you're, doing a session, and do you ever have an experience where you've connected let's say the living person with the spirit, let's say that, just like the woman that was in that house that was segmented into apartments. Did you ever have an experience where, let's say, similar to that, where the living and the deceased person were able to connect and have harmony afterwards?
If I understand, well, I have clients, so I've been, my client base actually has been slowly, and I do this on purely just out of my heart to do. I'm not saying that people that charge it's is or is not appropriate, but for me, I do on a case by case basis, and really it's building up my skill set. It's something I enjoy, and it's my passion. But I have, with my clients, I've connected, and that's a lot of big chunk of my work, is connecting up people with their deceased loved ones that passed on. Is that the question that you're asking, or?
Really just when you're, and I hate to use the word ghost hunting. So when you're investigating, and you if somebody calls you because they feel that their space is haunted, do you ever have a situation where you've connected that living person with the deceased person?
Unfortunately, I haven't, because most of the cases, and this is what led me into, and like you said, I go into, and what attracted me is not that I'm ghost hunting, or like these shows, Ghost Adventures or GA, that yes, that's some of it is very interesting, but I go in there with a passion to help, and not to help transition, or because I see when we go into these places as if they were coming into my house. In other words, I'm barging into their dimension, their home, or their area. And I actually, as I go up to it, that's what I do. I project my energy and say, listen, out of all due respect, I'm just here to understand you and understand this situation. And if you do want my help, I am here to do that. And that's my intention. And I've have it's making my hair stand up. And that's probably because my guides are happy that I'm going down that road.
Yes.
Because and I'm able to connect and use either soothe down a spirit that's unruly or mischievous, or two, they need transitional help and they've been creating chaos to get someone's attention, such as a medium or someone that could connect with them. But most of the cases I had, and I actually spoke to Julia just prior to us jumping on this call, is a lot of my work I wind up having to either close down portals, release some energy that they've mistakenly tapped into. People that do pendulums, Ouija boards, even ITC work, they're not sort of had enough insight to know what they're possibly opening or will bump into. And actually, I told Julia I bumped into, now I learned of him, Mr. Hatman. I never knew who Hatman was. He did not want to talk with me, but he didn't come after me, or he didn't, like I said, but we had a mutual agreement that, he's not welcomed in that space or area that my friend was working in. So he moved on.
Yeah, he's an urban legend. Hatman and the woman who first ran up on him and wrote a book and put it out into the popular culture. And now he's just everywhere. People are running into him. But yeah.
It's like anything else, right? You put energy into something, and they, you can bring that energy in. So even if it is a spirit, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I think this is a really good time because people may really be interested in the equipment and what we're talking about with being able to open things up, even with a spirit box, to entities or to spirits that you may not really need to be talking to. He has a great example of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it. You want me to play the video? I did a little teaser on the
and maybe post. Nick can give us a little background on this before you play it. What do you think,
sure.
Nick?
Are you going to play the SLS or the spirit box?
The spirit box.
The spirit box, and then actually, you know what? Maybe we should do the SLS first, and then the spirit box after that. Whatever works best for you, Nick.
It's whatever technically easier. So for you,
both of them are very easy. So either one.
I would say go with the spirit box, since that's what we were just talking about and how it can be used to, and people can open things up that they regret later.
And so I'll preface that with what I was doing is, and again, we're in training for the private psychic detective work that we do for the homicides, missing and or possible homicides training that we, utilizing the mediumship psychic skills that we all three have, and many of us have, to help the missing and possible homicide victims. So I was doing a case because I belong actually to a couple of groups that do this work and on pro bono, and they do it internationally. And I was working on a case of a victim, and I determined that this victim was deceased and it was a possible homicide. I then tried to tap into the information about the perpetrator, and what I usually do to protect myself from any possible interaction with something malevolent is I work through my spirit guides. But this first time out of all my experience in 5 years, I bumped into, I'm working with a medicine woman and I'm trying to clarify, but it was either malevolent or some type of trickster, or what was told to me, the energy or spirit of the actual perpetrator. So you can only imagine what that's like, running into a trickster. So usually my guides and everything else is loving, bees and butterflies, but this was definitely took a turn for the worse. And it didn't, like I said, I've grown a thick skin because it's going to happen. And that's what my spirit guides, after the fact, my spirit guide said, Nick, this was necessary for you to evolve as a mediumship in this work. And the work that you're doing. So
absolutely. And I'm going to play it for you, but I will say, you could tell, just notice its ego. It's got a big ego. So
and I'll disclaimer that, like I said, if any children are watching, please, have the children not watch this.
Yes, there
but-
is some foul language, so please send the kitties out of the room. Okay, so tell me if you can hear, this. And also see it. That's the most important, right? Okay. Let me just make sure the audio is on. Okay. And
And while she's doing that, I'll just mention, this is a really good example. Some people think the spirit world is all rainbows and butterflies. It absolutely is not. Like no more than our living 3D world. You see how much ugliness happens in our living 3D world. It's no different on the spirit side.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm sharing it right now. Can you see it?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. And I'm going to play it for you now.
Can't hear it. Cannot hear
Right.
it.
You can't hear it?
No, you have to share the sound.
Yeah, that's what I thought I just did. Let me see. Let's see.
And that's a picture of a spirit box or of Nick's spirit box.
Well, yeah, I was actually experimenting with a application, new app.
Uh-huh.
For that, I do that. Like I said, I have my standard, on the desk spirit box that I built myself, but I tend to want to push technology because I believe we'll have better communication with spirit as technology evolves. So this was my experience over the last about 2 to 3 months. I've been experimenting with this app, and I've been getting incredible sessions.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this segues so nicely from your engineering background. So, Nick is not some fly-by-night guy. He's grounded,
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
a Navy man and electrical engineer.
Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
see if it's going to work.
Okay, can you hear it now? Well, it's going to be silent for a little bit, just so you can read. So Travis Rawlings, last seen May 2nd, 2023. Can you hear it?
No,
Yes?
no.
No, unfortunately not.
Oh. Okay, I might have to get my technical assistant here soon. Let me share. I think I know what I did. I swear I'm technical, just not today. Let's see.
Well,
Now,
maybe what we could do is just, if it's easier, just switch over to the SLS. Would that be easier?
well, no, it's the same thing. So I'm going to share it now. So I think I knew what I know what I did. All right, so I'm going to now share. Can you see it?
No.
Amazing.
Maybe we can hear it though. You want to just play the sound, see if we can hear it?
Yeah, let me see. I don't know why it's doing this. Hold on one second. I swear, I think it was the spirit that I just saw, because I don't know why this is.
I'm telling you, trickster's coming in.
Yeah, he's like, hey.
Don't
I'm
mess
gonna
with
show you,
your
trickster.
electronics, that's for sure. I had
Yes.
that happen once teaching a class in the university. And
yeah. The interesting thing is that there is a little bit ago, and when Nick was talking, I thought I saw this shadow just kind of go like this and pop its head. So we'll have to replay that. So who knows?
well,
Maybe
they
I'm
know
getting-
we're talking about them.
I know. And not even them particular, anybody in particular. Let me see. But apparently, they think this is funny. All right. So I'm going to share this again for the 1 millionth time. And then let's see. So I did the computer audio. All right. So I'm going to share it here. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, can you hear it? Yes?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
We might have to just move on.
Yeah, unless you can share it. Are you able to do that or?
Yeah, why don't you guys have a little conversation and I'll see if I can get that and share it.
Yeah, I'm not even sure why this is happening, but actually I'm going to try. I'm so sorry. Here, I'm doing it. I didn't hit share sound. So the only trickster here is me. So, all right, so I'm sharing.
Oh, you didn't click share sound.
No.
That's what I told you to do.
I hit the control instead, like the advanced settings. But anyway, all this technical stuff.
Oh, I
All
love
right.
you, Dayon.
All right, can you see it now?
No.
No, you wouldn't be able to because I didn't have it on. Okay, so here we go. Sharing. And then there we go. Now share. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Tell me if you can't hear it.
Is Travis in his physical body right now? Is Travis in his physical body right now? Is Travis deceased right now? Was Travis a victim of a homicide? Was Travis a victim of a homicide? Was the homicide suspect a male? Did the male suspect know Travis? Was the homicide a altercation between Travis and the perp? Was it a fight between Travis and the suspect? Was there a weapon used in a homicide? Was it a handgun? Was a handgun used? Is the perpetrator's vehicle black? Is the perpetrator's vehicle black? Is the perpetrator's vehicle a Dodge Ram? Is the perpetrator's vehicle a Dodge Ram? Is Travis's body still in the Is Travis's body southwest of Covington in the area that Is it up in the mountain area? Is Travis's body physically right now in the mountain area? Thank you, spirit guides. Is the perpetrator located by that Baptist church area? Guides,
Wow.
You know what, Nick, I could tell what some of those words were you had question marks on, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you
Well-
later.
First things first, did you ever find this missing man?
A lot of the times these are open cases, and especially this one, which just happened. So they won't release any information leading up to this because of the integrity of the case. So we find out, and like I said, I'm only new with this, but I hear like late years, possibly later, if there was anything that resonated or that led to some finding or determination.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just as an intuitive and who's close to this case, what is maybe I shouldn't ask this question, but what is your impression from just your feeling connecting with Travis?
With Travis, definitely he's deceased. There was a homicide
Yeah.
for that, and I believe there may have been one or two people involved with this case. So a lot of it, when we did interface with the family, they verified a lot of our information. But the other information, like I said, usually this gets forwarded over, and I create a complete report with all my GPS coordinates for them to use or not use. So for that, but really the Spirit Box, what I use, it's another modality or tool to confirm what I pick up on a mediumship or psychic level, intuitive level for that. So a lot of this stuff I got, and I actually got the feeling that there was a quote unquote trickster, or I tapped into, and that's what usually happens is when I'm doing mediumship work, even before I do this ITC, is that I'll hit a brick wall, and usually that's either something does not want me to move past it. And that's why you notice I kept on asking over the questions. One, that it's happening so quick. Spirit is talking so quick. I can't pick up on what they, maybe bits and pieces. But two, I felt as if, and I'm persistent, and you notice, and Spirit was getting a little nasty, or they were getting nasty because I was being persistent. I was sticking to, and it was not, and even after that, I had to clear myself, release any possible attachments, work with my Spirit team to make sure that nothing is hanging around in my environment or my family and or home area, which actually is totally off limits for any Spirit except for anything that's for my highest and best. So
so therefore, when you get something like that, you can't trust the information, but you probably trust your intuitive hits. And my question is that, did the family and the police, are they pretty much set on that this person has been murdered? Or
pretty much, and they don't tell us a lot of information to confirm it, but from all intents and purposes of what we've heard, is that it was some type of homicide. It wasn't like as if he fell over in a ditch and or had some health issue where
we wouldn't want the family to come upon this show and hear us saying this, and they're holding out hope that he's still alive.
Right.
No. I mean, I always default to I hope that I'm totally wrong and they're not deceased, they just don't want to be found. A lot of these cases, some people just disappear and they don't want to be found.
Yeah, which is great because also Nick takes Pam Coordinato's class with us, psychic detective work, which is perfect for what you're doing right now. And and we do a lot of practices that we have to. She really hits us with a lot of with them, because that is actually one of the most important things, as Julie was mentioning. You don't want the family to to hold out hope or vice versa, just thinking that they're past and then they're not. It's still difficult. So that is the most important information.
Thinking they're alive or hoping they're alive, and then you say they're deceased and they're not. And I remember a famous psychic that got into a lot of hot water. I believe it was Sylvia Brown. And then she was blackballed. And I can't remember, it was some child or some young person that she said he's dead.
Oh, was dead. It's very similar. They were searching for their missing, I think it was a missing daughter, but yeah, she's like, she's passed and forget about her. And then like a year or so later she came,
They
or
found
like maybe even less. Yeah, they found her and she was alive.
Right.
So, I mean, and no psychic is, or intuitive is, or medium, is 100%. But, the way that Pam has trained us, we better get damn near.
Well, yeah, she said
Right.
80% is good. And in
Yeah.
research, 75% is a good rule of thumb of accuracy in any type of psychic work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If somebody tells you they're 100%, run.
Yeah,
That's another thing Pam says.
Yeah.
And then it's true. I think I've always felt that. Like if somebody says they're always something, unless they're always saying they're paying taxes, then there's something wrong. Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting stuff. And I love that you're incorporating all of what you've learned, Nick, in all of these different experiments.
Yeah.
And do you want me to show the other one now that I know how to do it?
If you do, and I know some people say, I know the people involved in this field, we reference it as SLS, but it's structured light sensor.
Yes.
And tell us what that is.
Structured light sensor. I mean, the setup that I use, or that I'm part of a paranormal team, and actually we went to a place, a local establishment, a restaurant, a small restaurant, and it's not known to be haunted, and it was an Italian restaurant for that, and we had the equipment, and we were just doing paranormal investigations, just showing people what's involved in paranormal investigations. And then we actually gave a demonstration by walking around the facilities. But as soon as I walked into like any paranormal thing, or any place I even walk into, even a store, I could pick up, and just like I know a lot of us could pick up on energy, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. But I picked up in one area across from the bar some high energy. It wasn't bad energy, but I sensed some type of energy, most likely either some residual, and what it was is they had a lot of antique furniture. And what I felt is if there was some energy attached to it, mixed in with some residual because of the bar area and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so sure enough, when I told the team, I said, listen, you're going to pick up activity in this one area. I said, as soon as you put the cameras and EMF and meters, and you're going to pick up the energy in that area. And they did. And that's what we captured on this SLS camera. We picked up.
It's picking up EMF, electromagnetic.
Well, no, it's picking up. This SLS camera actually is a sort of not intended. It is, but it isn't. It's a Microsoft product, the Kinect gaming camera.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of picks up on a human shape, and it puts them into stick figures.
Mm-hmm.
So how and why, I wouldn't even know. And even from my engineering background, I've tried to study this as far as how it's doing it.
Yeah.
But it's either picking up on either energy or something, because
it focuses on movement and the joints. So that's why the balls, and then they connect. That's the only thing I know, just because I live with a family of gamers and Microsoft lovers. So it picks up on the subtle detail, or the subtle detail of your joints. So like humanoid, it will pick up dogs, it will pick up animals, living things that have movement, like a specific kind of movement with joints.
And so it also picks up spirits.
Yes. Well, yes, and spirits, which is because it's so sensitive. It's basically, I would say that, and maybe my husband can run in here and tell me, but I say that it picks up on that subtle energy. Cameras in general pick up on spirits far more than our human eye can. Right. So,
so the electromagnetic field it's picking up on then.
I believe so, because if you take those SLS and put it by, or it'll actually mistaken some things as a human. So I believe it's picking up on energy or the movement of energy.
Yeah.
And that's what we picked up here is not only did we pick up, because it could pick up false positives, but we were interacting with at least two, and I'll call them energy spirits or whatever. And we would ask him, okay, could you lift up your left hand? And it would lift up its left hand. And then after a while, it stood up and decided to leave. And then it would come back. And that's
cool.
what, so that's how I know there's some intelligence. It's not a mistake that I
Right.
just, because it could capture chairs and stuff as a human mistakenly, but this thing was interacting with us.
Yeah, I played around with it a little bit, and it's interesting because you're right, it does. But if you move that sensitivity all the way, like, so it's like really not sensitive, it's pretty good. So you probably have to, if you do get an SLS camera, play around with that sensitivity, because you're right when you say, like, sometimes, like, if a door has a big round thing in the front, that's a person. Right? But I could tell within let's
Let's
view
watch
the
it.
tape. Yeah, let's view the tape. Okay.
You
So
can
we're
tell
gonna-
what era you came from saying view the tape.
Yeah. Oh, everybody knows now. Okay, so tell me if you can hear it. I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
Did something with Sam before?
That's not a good recipe for happiness.
And
Remember
he's
that
moving
sharp
a lot.
Something with Sam before.
And large.
That could be residual. The way that it was like acting like he was
Good
eating or
position,
drinking.
yeah, 19.
That's the less.
He's dancing on the bar.
Sharp, tight, cement. I would not be surprised if someone was not buried on this foundation and got killed by somebody stabbing them with a knife.
You guys like dancing, hanging out here?
I got dug, sharp, cement twice, large, and knife.
Oh, wow.
That's insane.
And that's
All right,
from one
let's-
of your
guys-
partners, right? That was from one of your partners, right, Nick?
Yes.
Wow.
And there's a lot more, but that was, I was, because I was bad. So I was like, am I seeing stuff? So not only, I was
Yeah.
actually flipping between that app. There's an app, I think it's called, I forget what it is, Ghost Tube.
Yeah.
So I was saying, am I getting the same thing? I was getting the same exact thing. So I was like, this is not error. And then of course we start to interact, and the thing, these two specific spirits sat on his couch, which is where I was picking up the energy, me physically. I was picking up the energy that there was something about this area,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah, you can
SLS just
tell.
confirmed it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell when you see that silhouette. It's actually standing at a table and like doing stuff. So like otherwise he'd be blinky and like kind of bouncing around trying to form. If it's like, let's say, picking up the wrong kind of, maybe like a door or whatever. Like, but I think you probably changed your sensitivity. But you could tell that it was standing there, and that right there at that moment, it was doing something at the table, which I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was very interesting.
Yeah. And now that I know the secret, our next ghost hunt, Julie, I'm going to use the SLS
I was
camera.
going to ask you if you're going to you bring it.
Oh yeah. It's going to be
Yeah.
solely what I use.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is like what is such interesting stuff. Tell us a little bit about some of your other experiences. What other instruments do you use?
And what your favorite instrument is.
Yes.
I always default. I mean, I love the SLS, but I guess my method right now is ITC,
The spirit box, you mean?
the Spirit
Yeah.
Box. And actually, I ventured off, and I think I've mentioned that Theon is actual. I'm going back to the original direct radio voices back in the day, pioneers, researchers
Yes.
that researched this, and were actually talking to spirits on blank white noise in between radio stations. I know they have now spirit boxes that originally started, and that seems what people like, with scans multiple stations, trying to avoid any fragmented, any pareidolia stuff, and just use static noise. But there's a couple of researchers I know of right now currently, but I'm about on the brink of having real-time direct radio voice communication with, I don't know what it is. It could be, I've heard, I haven't yet experienced it with ETs, but I believe it's spirit or something of another dimension. But I'm having direct one with my spirit guide. So I'm having real-time conversation using white noise, just complete white noise, no radio transmission, just noise, everything from water noise to, and I prefer white noise spectrum.
Do you get a white noise machine to do that? How do you do that?
Yes, I have a little box, white noise box, and I was looking around. I have but it's a auto generated, and it's not a cycle. It's completely random white noise from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz in that whole spectrum of white noise. So I have just a random generator off the shelf. You can find any white noise generator. They do have, like my toddler son had when he was younger, that white noise, but that's a cycle.
Yeah.
So that's not a pure white noise generator. And I just run that into a couple of filtering apps that are available out there. And I'm able to, and I stumbled upon this when there's a researcher by the name of Rodave. He had built a circuit, a microphone circuit, but pulled it away from radio, and just, it's a diode circuit. So there's no way of picking up false positives or anything like that. And he was finding that
he's a gentleman in Italy. I'm so sorry to cut you off. He's the pioneer of this from Italy.
No, well, there's
right?
there's Bacci, who is in Italy.
That's right. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Yes, there's Bacci, who I want to emulate, because a lot of his, I mean, he was the epitome of direct radio voices that he used to help family connect with, where they would come out of a tubed radio, out of just white noise in between radio stations. So you'd find a blank radio station or white noise in between radio stations, and the voices would sort of propagate out of that white noise.
Yeah, they use that white noise. Yeah, we use something like that at the old jail. It was just white noise, and I love the clarity that you can get with that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah,
And
so
you know-
I'm people, but go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was just saying, so yeah, so I'm moving past the radio scanning to now real time through the complete white noise, whatever it be, having real time. So I could actually take a laptop with an external speaker and go on investigation, and that's what my specialty is going to be, and try to talk to see what's at these sites. So it's a digital mediumship.
Yeah, I love that. Is that what you used? What did you use for that communication with that spirit that likes to swear?
that I was experimenting, because in parallel to what I'm doing, I'm always trying to push the technical envelope of technology, and hoping that where spirit meets technology, and just provide an opportunity for people to an area of healing and progress and stuff like that. I'm just into that. So I was experimenting with an app that you can find online. You could purchase it fairly cheaply. So I'm always experimenting, and it actually worked out really well. Off the shelf application, what I was doing. So that's just experimental I was doing.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, that was very interesting, right? And tell if you don't mind, tell our listeners what is your instrument of choice? What is your favorite one?
Favorite? Well, again, I would, because I love developing my own, and actually you guys got my interest in too, but again, I tried to narrow, because this equipment could get expensive. I mean, you could start out fairly cheap, but the deeper and deeper you go into this investigation, and I got hooked, because for me, it's an avenue to provide help to spirit, and help for the living, and help for the deceased.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's hard is when you're a medium, you can hear it, but the people that you're trying to help, if they're, in the physical world, they can't hear it.
And that's why I like ITC, because,
right.
And that's why I like ITC, because it actually provides evidential information to people to hear now.
Yeah.
So
and
I would say if I was going to go default, again, I'm not sure if that's what you look ITC. I would say just ITC equipment. I love ITC
in
equipment
general.
because I'm more of an evidential. I guess with my engineering science background, I'm always looking for evidence. And especially when there's a lot of, and I'm a skeptic myself, because I don't always believe. So I want to have some verifiable, some information to look at objectively.
It makes a big difference. And that's what brought the reality of everything home to me, was when I first started getting all these orb pictures in my house and coming out of my body. And it was just, and then I was like, okay, I think I believe now, because I already knew. But then it just brings a whole new level of reality when you can use technology to capture spirits, to capture the voices. And when they say things that are clear and that mean something to the person. So Nick, so one of the things that you offer your service is you could offer people communication with the spirit box to communicate with their deceased loved ones. So it doesn't just have to be paranormal investigations.
No,
Yeah.
and that's a big chunk of my work is helping people with their deceased ones too. If they've never had the opportunity to speak to spirit guides or spirit team, I've done that work. I've also done, and I spoke to you earlier about, I do a lot of house clearing, space clearing remotely. If it's because I've done that internationally, worked with people to clear out whatever they have in their environment that's not helping them and that's not there for the highest and best. So
yeah, so you can find Nick on Evolve Me, and you have that link, I assume, in the YouTube and the TikTok and Facebook, where people can find us on Evolve Me.
Yes. And Nick, where else can we tell them to find you?
that's the primary, because I'm in such flux right now. I went through a wild.
Go to his house. No.
Yes, Evolve Me. Well, I don't even allow the spirits to my house, so
I
I'm just
know.
so protective of with this work of my family, and I don't, especially with a toddler and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I definitely put a big blanket of protection around my home and in my environment, even my vehicle.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely. You definitely need to. And and it's interesting. For a time there, Nick and I did some live readings with his spirit box, and we got to do that again. Maybe one of these weeks we can do live readings, live mediumship with your spirit box. Would you want to? Yay. Wouldn't that be
Absolutely.
fun? I used to have so much fun with it. It would be like I would be reading as well as Nick, and then I just kind of stopped and listened because it was fun. It's interesting because I can say anything sometimes to people, and some people just need to hear it, and and hear it from because it's interesting because a lot of the times their voice will come through too, right? A lot of when we were on our last paranormal investigation, Julie and I heard all different types of names. Remember? When we went to St. Augustine, excuse me, and they were all talking together, and it was a woman, a man, and like all these different talking sometimes at the same time. Right. And it was incredible. So they do carry their own
white noise through the white noise.
Yes. I'm gonna get a white noise machine. Great. Yeah. This is becoming a very expensive thing for me. I know, because I'll come in there like Ghostbusters. Well, I don't want to say Ghostbusters because then they're gonna get afraid. But I come in there with I have this backpack that I have all my stuff in, and now I swear, on our last one with Josh, I was completely geeking out and just left everybody.
Yeah, she was definitely on her. Yeah, she was definitely working. She was working it.
Yeah, because I'm like, we got to get some evidence. And the funny thing about me as a and Julie knows this, I just want to talk to them. And I just want to see how they're doing, if they're okay, if I can do anything for them. And I tend to have these long conversations with these spirits. And it was just, I think sometimes they just want to talk to someone. Sometimes they want to like, oh, a living person can talk to me. Even if we can't help them, or if they don't want our help, some of them just want to talk, which I think is nice too. So you're just giving them some respect in their home, and getting to know them and their experience. Because my question is always, how did you get here? And if they say they don't want to leave, okay, why? Do you feel happy here? And stuff like that. Like, any question that you would ask a living person, and they seem to really, because they, as soon as you leave the body and you're still earthbound, you still kind of long for that physical body and the contact with other people. So I don't know. Yeah, just an interesting aside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Nick, thank you so much for being on our show tonight, because we are just after the top of the hour, and it was very interesting and just a pleasure to have this conversation with you. And thank you for sharing some of the captures that you had.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure and honor.
Yes.
To
And
be with you.
I'm gonna bug you to come back so we can do the sessions.
Do the live sessions. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yay. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us. And again, this is and how I've known you for a long time, but just like nobody can say my last name. How do you say your last name?
I'll say my last name is almost like, it's one of those crazy Greek names, like Socrates. So it's Socrates. So Nick Socrates.
Socrates.
I always want to add, I always want to say the T.
The T is silent. So it's like Socrates.
Oh, I love it, Socrates. Okay. I love it. So everybody, check out Nick on Evolve Me, or on our next show, hopefully. One of our shows.
When he comes back. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So yes, thank you all. Have a wonderful night. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye, Nick. Bye.